In the vibrant village of Umudike, nestled deep in the heart of Igbo land, lived a young man named Okoro. He was a pride of his parents, Nana and Nneka. He was a tall, built, and robust man with a build that could rival the strongest men in the village. Okoro was known for his hard-working nature, and he always has a smile that could melt the hardest of hearts. He was also a skilled farmer and he has high quality that were highly valued in Umudike. Yet, despite his many attributes, Okoro remains unmarried. His parents, Nana and Nneka, often sat by the fire discussing their concerns. Our son has everything a woman would want, Nneka would say. Why does no woman want to marry him? Nana, Okoro's father, would sigh in response, his heart heavy with worry. The villagers as well were puzzled. Okoro was kind and respectful, always willing to help those in need. He was a man of honor, and his loyalty to his family and friends was unquestionable. Despite his many virtues, every woman in the village seemed to avoid him. The young maidens would whisper and giggle behind his back, but none dared to show any interest in him. Okoro, although he was aware of his parents' concern, he did not let it show. He continued his daily routines, hunting in the mornings and working in the fields in the afternoon. In the evening, he would join his friends, Chukwudi and Emeka, around the village square, sharing stories and laughter. But deep down, Okoro felt the sting of loneliness. He longed for companionship, for someone to share his life with. He would often wonder what was wrong with him, why no woman wanted to be his wife. Little did he know that his fate was intertwined with mysteries that lay hidden in the shadows of Umudike. Okoro's life was marked by an event that happened the night he was born. It was a stormy night with thunder roaring and lightning splitting the skies. As Nneka went into labor, a bolt of thunder lightning struck a large tree near their house, causing it to burst into flames. The villagers saw this as a bad omen. They whispered that Okoro was born under a curse, destined to bring misfortune. Growing up, Okoro was often reminded of this incident. Children avoided him, and their mothers would pull them away whenever he came near. The older villagers would shake their heads and murmur prayers beneath their breath. Okoro's parents tried to protect him from the harsh words, but they couldn't shield him from everything. Despite the whispers, Okoro proved himself to be an extraordinary child. He excelled in everything he did, from farming to hunting. He was always the first to volunteer for village tasks, but his strength and agility were unmatched. Yet, the villagers could not forget the stormy night of his birth that fell the village sacred trees. The stories of the lightning struck tree grew with each telling it into tales of curses and bad luck. As Okoro grew older, the whispers became louder. Women in the village feared that marrying Okoro would bring disaster to their family. They believed that the curse would follow them, bringing sickness, poor harvest, and even death. No amount of bravery or skill that Okoro had could change their mind. The fear of the unknown was too strong. Okoro tried to ignore the gossip, focusing on his work and helping those in need. But the isolation weighed heavily on him. He longed for acceptance, for someone to see beyond their superstitions. The loneliness he felt was like a dark cloud that followed him everywhere. Despite his best effort, he could not escape the shadow of this mysterious reputation. Okoro has a special gift that sets him apart from everyone else in Umudike. He could communicate with animals. This ability fascinated some and frightened others. It began when he was a young boy. He found an injured bird. As he cradled the bird in his hands, he heard its thoughts. He understood the birds' fear and pain, and he soothed the birds with his words. From that day onwards, Okoro's connection with animals grew stronger. The villagers often saw him in the forest, surrounded by birds and all other kinds of creatures. He would speak to them in soft, gentle voice and they would respond. Okoro could understand their needs and emotion, and he helped them whenever he could. These gifts made him a remarkable hunter. He could track animals effortlessly, and they could lead him to their trails. However, this talent also made Okoro seem strange to the villagers. They found his bond with animals unsettling. Some believed it was another sign of his cursed nature. They whispered that he had the spirit of a wild beast, and no one would come from such a man. The women of the village, also wary of him, found the ability even more disturbing. Okoro's gift brought him solace in his loneliness. The animals became his friends and confidants. He would spend hours in the forest, talking to them and listening to their stories. They did not judge him or fear him. They accepted him for who he was. This connection gave Okoro a sense of belonging that he could not find among his own people. Despite his loneliness, Okoro never used his gifts for evil purposes. He respected the balance of nature and only took what he needed. He believed that his ability to hear from animals was a blessing and not a curse. But the villagers' fear and suspicion made it difficult for him to find acceptance. He remained an outcast, unable to bridge the gap between his world and their world. When Okoro was younger, he suffered from a mysterious illness that baffled the village healers. He was just 5 years old when he was ill. His body burned with fever, and he laid in bed unable to move or speak. His parents, Nnanna and Nneka, were beside themselves with worry. They tried every traditional remedy, but nothing worked. The village healer, Dibia Akachi, was at a loss. She feared that the illness was as a result of the curse that haunted Okoro when he was born. One night, when hope seemed lost, an old woman named Mo appeared at their door. She was known as a recluse who lived deep in the forest. Some said she was a witch, while others believed she was a powerful healer. Nana and Nneka, desperate to save their son, welcomed her into their home. Mo examined Okoro, her eyes filled with an ancient wisdom. She mixed herbs and whispered incantations, walking through the night. By morning, Okoro's fever has gone. He woke up weak, but he was alive. His parents were overjoyed. But the villagers were skeptical. They feared that Mo had cast a spell on Okoro, binding him to her dark magic. This event also fueled the rumors of Okoro being cursed. This did not help matters at all. The women of the village, already cautious from the curse they felt was trailing Okoro, they now saw him as a potential threat. They believed that marrying him would bring the wrath of the curse and the wrath of the Mo upon their families. Despite their skepticism, Okoro grew stronger each day. He would never forget the old woman who saved his life. He would sometimes visit her in the forest, bringing her food and gifts as a token of his gratitude. Mo taught him about herbs and healing, sharing her knowledge with him. Okoro learned to respect the power of nature and the wisdom of the elders. But the fear of the villagers for more influence over Okoro remained, and they all avoided Okoro like a plague. As Okoro reached adulthood, the memory of his illness and more intervention became another shadow over his prospect for marriage. The women saw him as a man touched by dark forces, and their fear kept them at a distance. Okoro was grateful for his life and felt the sting of isolation even more deeply than ever. He really wanted to break free from the chains of superstition and any curse that people felt that followed him, and he wanted to be accepted by his people. In Umudike, many women were afraid to come close to Okoro, not to talk of marrying him. Even the bravest maidens, the like of Adaeze and Ifeoma, who were thought to be brave, they avoided him like a plague. Adaeze was known for her strength and beauty. She was the daughter of a wealthy farmer, and she had many suitors. Yet, she felt an unexplainable fear whenever she saw Okoro. She remembered the night she saw him talking to a bird, and a shiver ran down her spine. Ifeoma was also another brave young girl, who on the other hand was known for her curiosity and intelligence. She had heard the stories about Okoro and his abilities. One evening, she decided to follow him into the forest. She hid behind a tree and watched as he conversed with a group of animals. To her shock, she saw shadows moving around him as if they were protecting him. This sight frightened her, and she ran back to the village, her heart pounding, scared for her life. The stories of Adaeze and Ifeoma spread quickly. This woman told everybody who cared to listen about their encounter in secret with Okoro. The women and the maidens of Umudike even became more wary and avoided Okoro. They whispered about his strange powers and the curse that followed him. Most mothers warned their daughters to stay away from Okoro, fearing that marrying Okoro would bring him disaster. Okoro noticed the increased change in their behavior. He saw fear in the eyes of people, especially young women. This hurt him deeply, and he did not know how to change their mind. He felt like an outsider in his own village. Despite his loneliness, Okoro never gave up hope. He continued to be kind and helpful, always ready to lend a hand. He believed that one day someone would see beyond the rumors and recognize his true nature. But as time passed, the possibilities seemed more and more distant. The fear of the unknown was a powerful force, and breaking through that fear required patience and kindness. Despite his skills and good looks, Okoro felt more profound sense of loneliness. Time went by as he watched his friends Chukwudi and Emeka. They found love and started families. Chukwudi married Amara, a gentle and kind-hearted woman. Their wedding was a grand celebration. And even though Okoro was there for his friend, his heart was aching with envy. Emeka, his older friend, also found love with a woman called Nkechi. She was a lively and cheerful maiden. They too had a beautiful wedding, and Okoro couldn't help but feel the sting of jealousy and envy. In the evenings, Okoro would sit by the river where he felt a sense of peace. The gentle flow of the water and the chirping of the birds brought him comfort. He would talk to the animals that gathered around him, sharing his lonely thoughts and feelings. They listened to him without any judgment. They provided him with the companionship he lacked among his own people. One night, as Okoro sat by the river, a wise old tortoise approached him. "Why do you look so sad, Okoro?" the tortoise asked. Okoro sighed and replied, "I am all alone, my friend. No woman wants to marry me. They all believe I am cursed." The tortoise nodded his head wisely. Sometimes fear and ignorance blind people to the truth. You must find a way to show them who you really are. Then and only then will they see beyond the rumors and superstition. Okoro pondered on the words of the tortoise. He knew that proving himself would not be easy. The villagers has already have a deep fear and suspicion around him, and changing their mind will require a great effort. But Okoro was determined. He would not let loneliness define his life. He wanted to find a way to break the chain of superstition and show the villagers his true worth and hopefully get a good girl to marry him. With renewed resolve, Okoro returned to the village, ready to face the challenges ahead. He knew that the road to acceptance would be long and difficult, but he was prepared to walk in it. His heart filled with hope, he decided to seek the guidance and counsel of a wise elder called Ezudo. One day, Okoro visited the wise elder, Ezudo, who lived on the outskirts of the village. Ezudo was a man of great wisdom and knowledge. He was respected by all in Umudike kingdom. He had seen many seasons come and go, and his advice was often sought by those in need. Okoro believed that Ezudo would offer him guidance on how to change his sad fate.